Hey, Talkhouse listeners, it's Josh Modell, and today I've got another podcast in our network to introduce or perhaps reintroduce you to. Dylan Tupper Rupert is a music writer, podcast host, and producer in Los Angeles. You might know her as the host of KCRW's Lost Notes Groupies, or as producer Dylan of the epic and excellent Bandsplain podcast. Dylan's most recent show, Music Person, just launched its second season as part of the Talkhouse Podcast Network, and the first episode features an incredible conversation with a recent Talkhouse podcast guest, Florence Shaw of Dry Cleaning. They talk about school and music and loads of other stuff over a breezy, almost 90 minutes. You'll feel like you're eavesdropping in the best way. Check it out, and if you like it, head back into season 1 and see if you missed any great moments there. Enjoy!
Hey, I'm Dylan Tupper Rupert, and this is Music Person, a podcast about the music life and the people who live it. And today, we're back for season 2, finally. We're going to start it off with Florence Shaw of the band Dry Cleaning.
Life, a series of memorials and signals, telling us this or that, telling us this or this. Think of that. The objects outside the head control the mind to arrange them.
That song is Hit My Head All Day off of their most recent album, Secret Love, which came out in January. Dry Cleaning is a band from South London. It's made up of guitarist Tom Dowse, drummer Nick Buxton, and bassist Lewis Maynard, and of course is fronted by Florence, aka Flo. That is her signature, beautifully droll, deadpan delivery that you just heard. Florence met guitarist Tom Dowse while they were both studying at the Royal College of Art in London, and later when they were working as professional artists and art school lecturers. Tom was starting Dry Cleaning, and he decided to recruit Florence, who had never been in a band before. And this wonderful decision resulted in their truly excellent debut album, New Long Leg, which came out in 2021.
Many years have passed, but you're still charming. Rose falling and exploding. You can't save the world on your own, I guess. Don't send me it.
And it was followed by Stump Work in 2022.
Dad's got blood on his head. We gave you our family name. In the lockdown you escaped. Gary Ashby, it was a bad surprise.
Both of those records were produced by John Parrish, who's probably most famous for his work in collaborations with PJ Harvey. But for their most recent record, Secret Love, Dry Cleaning recruited Cate to work with them. And I feel like that's really perceptible on the record in these delightfully subtle but like very aligned ways. Like Cate and Dry Cleaning seem like a marriage of a band and an artist-producer who truly share a set of sensibilities. I think that they both find a lot of expansiveness in somewhat like oblique or stilted sounds, but not just to be experimental unto themselves, but to really be in service of something quite emotional. And Dry Cleaning really stands out to me as a band of artists, which you will soon listen to, I'm very obsessed with. They were working as professional artists and instructors at an arts college right before they formed the band. And so I guess that you might call Dry Cleaning art rock by default, but I also think that Florence is a really thrilling writer. There's something so exciting to me about the relationship between Florence's lyricism and how it relates to her vocal performance. It's like her monotone delivery matched with these sort of surreal streams of sentiments sort of sound like you're literally inside of her mind, receiving the thoughts that she's having as she's having them in real time, like inside of her brain. And it made me think of this article I read in The New Yorker a while back that was about people that have this condition in which they don't have an inner monologue. And I just Googled what that's called. It's called anendophagia. Go read the article because it's very interesting. And also just the concept of not having an internal monologue is so foreign to me that I couldn't even begin to describe to you what that must be like. In any case, thinking about people that don't have an internal monologue, I'm like, okay, that's one phasia. But then what's the phasia for those of us that have an internal monologue, but it's like delivered in the style of Florence from Dry Cleaning, for example? It's like there's some songwriting that really gets to you because it feels like it has this really emotionally relatable narrative. Whereas when I hear Dry Cleaning songs, I'm like, oh, this is what like having a brain sounds like. And there's so many fantastic moments of this very thing on display on Secret Love. And one of my favorites is the song My Soul Half Pint, which, by God, if anything is like my internal monologue, this verse.
I feel resentment in my soul. Maybe it's time for men to clean for like 500 years.
And then there are these other just little moments tucked into pockets of these songs that are so striking and so cool to me. I really love this moment in the song Let Me Grow and You'll See the Fruit.
Next stop, Benini Island. Perhaps someday, even this. Such a short distance. You know, let me grow and you will see the fruit. Let me grow and you will see the fruit. Thank you to me for coming.
And even the closing track, Joy, you know how like sometimes people will react to a song and be like, that song makes me feel so alive. I don't know if that's the reaction that I have listening to this song as much as I have the reaction of this song feels very accurate to how being alive feels right now.
Destruction. Don't give up on being sweet. Joy will build.
I just had a really cool experience deep listening to this record. And Florence is one of those artists for whom I really have this desire to like take an x-ray of her brain. So that's like kind of what I did. I had hoped to speak to Florence in person when they were over here for their North American tour that was supposed to happen earlier this year, but it has been rescheduled to the spring. And they did that for some pretty, I guess, interesting, if not super bleak reasons. But we discussed all this once we linked through the magic of remote recording all the way across the pond and many time zones. And we started off talking about, you know, like the difficult realities of music, even when you do reach an ostensibly successful sort of indie level. But then we really shift into another gear and wind up having a really playful and cerebral conversation about creativity and what it feels like in your brain to work and sort of like using words as tools of imagination. For whatever it's worth, I would personally love to listen to Florence narrate like a children's book. Her voice is so soothing. I'm so deeply soothed by it. Not that you'll be able to tell by the level of excitement in my voice during a conversation, but you know what? That's because I was excited. So here is my very exciting conversation with Florence Shaw of Dry Cleaning. Okay, Florence Shaw, what does your life look like right now?
It's very domestic. I'm at home a lot. We just put out a record in January, like right at the start of the year. And then we start touring second week of April. So there's this bit of time where we're doing press and stuff, interviews, things like this. But a lot of it is home based. So I'm at home a lot, but I really like being at home. So I'm quite contented.
It's interesting specifically that you're home at this very moment, because when I was first trying to set up this interview, you guys had a North American tour set up.
True.
Something that my friend Simon Vozik-Levinson at Rolling Stone wrote about, and
Oh, yeah.
and he sort of, the lead of that article was talking with you guys in dry cleaning about the fact that you had to postpone your US tour, in which, just to give the listener some context,
Yeah.
it really flabbergasted me as a case study of, is touring broken, basically, as I'm sure it did with Simon, hence the fact that he used dry cleaning, canceling their tour as like the lead to this piece that opened up into bigger questions about the touring economy. But just for context, you guys were selling well at like 500 to 1,000 cap rooms, and you had like a really robust all over the US tour planned, and all the markers of this is going to be a good, at least, if not profitable tour, at least a self-sustaining foray across the pond by like maybe even last year, the year before's measure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about the size of it. I mean, we try to do things, for want of a better word, sensibly.
Yeah.
We're not really in the habit of like doing things at a massive loss. I mean, obviously, we really try to avoid doing that. And we have kind of historically, since the start of the band, tried to make things work as much as possible. But there was just this moment, whenever it was that we actually made the decision, I feel like it was December last year, the decision to postpone it or reschedule it, basically. There was a moment when we made that decision where we had to talk about, how do we feel about making a huge loss doing this? I don't know why I'm laughing.
That's my trauma response. It's just randomly laughing inappropriately.
Yeah.
So
that was the question.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, we could do it, but it would be very scary, and it would mean the whole rest of the year and for the foreseeable would be a real extreme kind of scramble to try to get out of a hole. Yeah, we kind of thought it's not right. There was just something that felt really, really wrong about it. And it felt like we might be dooming ourselves if we went ahead with it how it was. And when it was scheduled, that wasn't the case. Yeah, it changed quite suddenly, just to do with the overheads, basically.
Right.
It all just shifted.
Yeah. And by overhead, it's just the simple brass tacks of travel, right? It's less.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many smart people that are in the business of figuring out how to make this work with ticket prices and with obviously booking and like routing something in a way where you're ending up at places you can afford to stay at, or with friends, or you're eating sensibly on the road. Like when you're booking a tour, especially at this level, that's the sort of professional support you have with your team to help try to figure that out. But it just seems like the broader, what everyone inside and outside of music is feeling right now is just like, it's just the other fucking bullshit is so expensive.
It's horrifically expensive, and it's the margins, you know, because it's possible you're able to make the money back from all the wonderful people who buy merch when you're on tour.
Yeah.
Because that is really like our bread and butter a lot of the time, like many bands. But that's obviously, that comes later.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a fucking gamble too.
Yeah, right. So it might not work out that way because everybody's cost of living is absolutely nuts all over the place.
And isn't it insane just to think about, like, just if you're really breaking it down into like what touring is now a business of, thinking of a band coming over from the UK and all the expense that takes and getting the visas and setting up all the travel to ultimately make the money back from selling t-shirts. It's sort of like doing the most elaborate merch pop-up of all time.
I will say, they're very, very nice t-shirts.
This merch is on fleek.
I feel like that's slightly outdated, but I appreciated it.
Well, because it's perfectly on brand for this conversation. Because, you know, maybe in some ways we all wish it was 10 years ago still. So. No, I just like not to start off our conversation on such a bummer foot, but it just really struck me to see dry cleaning in particular navigate this reality, because ostensibly dry cleaning is, one, a fucking incredible band. This album is phenomenal. And just to think about like the level at which you guys have achieved markers of success by way of just there being an audience for you in the States, and people that were, like as a consumer, and as a music fan, you're encouraged to buy tickets in advance so that you're sort of like voting to say, yes, come. Like this room is 60% full ahead of the thing actually happening. You're maybe getting to the point where you're probably not going to lose money on this. And as someone that throws shows without the advance sales, it's not like a little scary. It's like survival scary.
It's a big scary.
It was quite striking to see a band with like such critical acclaim and a hearty audience kind of have to navigate this. But I'm sure it was disappointing in a way. It also made me think about, I was on my walk earlier today and I was thinking about conversations I've had with friends who are artists who put a record out maybe like late 2019, early 2020, and then couldn't tour for the next year and some change because of the pandemic.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I see this happen and I just wonder like what the implications are on like a momentum level, like postponing a tour in that way. It just kind of reminded me of that.
It's hard to say until the dust sort of settles on it, really. I mean, from our perspective, we're able to hone the show more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're able to turn it into a bit of a positive just by working on the set, working on the songs for longer. I mean, that's kind of quite obvious in a way because it's, we're doing it 3 months later than we were going to do it. And obviously we'll spend the time on the show. So that's kind of a positive spin, I suppose. But also sometimes touring straight after you put out a record, it probably is good for the momentum of the record in a way, but I don't know. The way I listen to records anyway, I never listen to things when they first come out.
Oh my God, same.
It almost seems weird to me to do that.
Yeah.
When you get sent something and it's out like today, I always feel a bit like, oh no. And I can't explain why.
I feel so
But it's like it creeps me out a bit. It's like, like really new, like there's something inside me that goes a bit funny.
Yeah, it gives me the ick.
Yeah. I'm forever listening to records that are 4 months to a year old and being like, oh, cool, new record. Never when it's first out. Never. Like never.
It's like lining up like for a sneaker drop for me. It's just like, oh, I don't want to be.
It's a little bit too producty for me.
Totally. Like it's the fucking sneaker drops.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't think about records as products.
Yeah.
And I also think there's something else in the way that things are reviewed or the way that things are consumed kind of conspicuously, the way that people sort of rate things as though everything needs to give you everything. I do feel that's kind of weird. It's like every record, every song needs to hit all these points that make it a good song or like make it a good album.
Yeah.
And if it isn't doing that, then it's like, oh, try harder next time, or like, better luck next time. I just find that whole vibe really weird because I don't consume music like that at all. Like my favorite kinds of records are oftentimes like quite one note, like in terms of a mood or an energy.
So something that I think is really interesting for me personally is your art school background. And to segue from what you were saying earlier about sort of like the band's approach to being in the band in like a sensible and reasonable way.
Yes.
My brain kind of just leapt to this fact of your biography. All of you generally speaking, we're like working artists, not necessarily like in a band musician artists, but, you know, people that were lecturers at like the art college before you left to be in this band. It seems like it frames sort of your approach to just being in a band as a concept.
Well, yeah, me and Tom were lecturers. We used to teach illustration in a few different art schools. And we also went to art school before that, obviously, together. Nick and Lewis studied music. They've been a rhythm section now in different bands for like 20 years, which is crazy to me. So you're right. That is certainly me and Tom's background.
I see it as like you're adults, you know, who like started a band as adults.
We're definitely adult. Oh my God, that's just freaked me out. Adult.
I'm an adult.
Adults.
How about you?
Adults. So Americans say adults.
Oh,
don't
yeah,
they?
and you say adults. Oh my gosh.
I say adults. That's why when I said adults, it was like, whoa, that's wrong. I just realised after it came out.
Well, I'll say adults now. Sorry.
No, I'm not at all saying it my way. Anyway, yes, we're adults, definitely, and have been the whole time, which is quite different, I suppose. Like a lot was made of it being my first band.
Yeah.
But lots of people's band is their first band, but they're just 18 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's not really that weird that it's my first band. Lots of people who are the front people of bands, it's their first band. They're just a whole different age bracket.
Right.
I think people find it novel that I did other jobs and then this.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose, yeah, we do think of it as a project, maybe more than a band, if that makes sense.
That does make sense.
It's an experiment to some degree, you know, because it was just like let's try this, and I'm going to do this, and Liz is going to play bass like this, and we'll see what it sounds like. It was kind of like a pastime, like a thing to do on the weekend. And yeah, rather than like, we're living and breathing this band because we're young and crazy. I'm trying to imagine now what it's like to be in a band when you are like 20.
I think the impetus on a perhaps even a somatic level is the same. Like when you want to get into a band when you're 17 or 18.
Yeah.
It has a lot to do with, one, you love music, but two, it's an identity forming exercise, and one that you get to do in contrast with other individuals, and who you are in relation to those other individuals heightens everyone's individuality because you're sort of like sculpting one another with everyone's edges and how they meet and brace up against one another.
That's very interesting. Identity forming
is an individual and a unit. And then as you're starting a band or a musical project later in life, when that sort of like initial identity forming has been established through other mediums, I think it generates this different approach to being in a band that, I don't know, I feel like I sense from dry cleaning in a way that's really interesting.
Yeah, that chimes with me. Lewis has recently been describing it as like us all being quite stubborn, in the sense that we each like do our thing and we're not moving that far to meet the other people. It's like we want to collaborate and we want to make music together, but like no one's like, everybody is doing their own thing in capital letters, and little moves are made to make it all fit, and space is created at certain moments when it needs to be created. It's like we all want to be ourselves a lot in the band.
Are there any songs on Secret Love that you listen to it and you're like, wow, we're really just all in our own little lanes?
I mean, all of them. I feel like that is just what we sound like to me. It can be an odd sound because things are happening simultaneously that can be a bit antagonistic towards each other, maybe, or something like that. But it's not a pretentious thing. That is just what what we are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a discordance or something, but that is agreeable.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hopefully.
I find your album discordant and agreeable. Sorry.
That would be...
Yeah, do I sound like I wrote for an Emmy in 1989 now?
That's a rave, as far as I'm concerned.
Florence and I will be right back after this break. This is the track Scratchyard Lanyard from their 2021 debut, New Long Leg.
You keep it. You keep it.
Hello, just kidding. It is still me, and I have news. You can now find Music Person on Substack. It's where I publish the Music Person Quarterly, which is a newsletter and a listening companion to the podcast. It's timed to the seasons, so each winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is subscribe, and I will be there in your inbox with podcast news and my reflections and music discovery resources, my treasured quarterly playlist, guest posts, and a whole lot of exciting stuff to come that you will only see if you subscribe. It lives on my Substack, dylantupperrupert.substack.com. You can also just Google it, obviously. Come join me. Well, I find this really interesting on like a selfishly personal level, because I think so much about art school. It's an experience I got to have. I think it means really different things in the United States as it does in the UK.
Right.
I also am really, like, in my feelings, thinking about my arts education and how lucky I was to have it, because it was announced that my school is closing.
Oh.
It's such a bizarre thing. Like, you don't ever really go through life or go into like a university thinking like one day this school will close, as if it's like a restaurant that you grew up going to that shuttered after 30.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of existential and strange lately, talking with friends who also went to this school. It's called California College of the Arts, and it's closing next year. And we've just sort of all as a group, I think, as our trauma bonding response, we've been maybe like unpacking what we got from arts education, and I guess like how it's filtered into our adult professional lives, whether we're in the arts or not.
Yeah.
I'm in the yapping arts now, but there's, I swear to God, so many through lines that just are so tangible to me.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me if this was your experience too. For me, it was about getting an actual life lesson in like the art of criticism and sort of like creative negotiation.
Critical thinking.
Critical thinking, and like being able to, like, okay, when you were an art student and or instructor,
Yeah.
did you have the critiques where everyone puts their work up on the wall and then you go around?
Yeah.
And as a teacher, you kind of like reserve what you're going to say until after the students talk about and like really begin to like build the skill of articulating what it means when something works or doesn't work. How to sort of, articulate the subjective in terms of art.
Yeah. You mean in really simplistic terms, talking about what you've made?
Yeah.
Or you mean talking about its value? Yeah, that's a hugely important thing. I always found art school to be a lot about looking and also a lot about learning what your real interests are, the real ones, the things that really drive you inside and the things that excite you to see, or visual things, or even conceptual things that make you feel happy, that you want to chase. That took some working out for me. I feel like that takes working out for everybody, because it's a very personal thing. What kind of gets your juices going? It's very personal. And lots of people aren't totally in touch with what that is. And I think if you're going to make stuff, it's a bit of a duty to have a good understanding of what floats your boat. And I don't necessarily mean like what your favorite color is or whatever. I just kind of mean like what sort of expressions, like what sort of films, what sort of, if you notice something in the street, what is it about it that means it's jumped out to you? Like, why do you like it? I think learning to talk about why you like things is a big part of art school. It really teaches you a lot about yourself. And then it helps you be better at making things too.
Yeah, that is like one of my strongest held beliefs about creativity that makes me feel so tragic and sad about particularly my school closing. And just like how inaccessible.
It's tremendously sad. I wish it was more normal. I do think that art making is just a human thing. And that really, it seems to me like this era that we're living in is one of the only ones in human history where making stuff is not just a normal quotidian part of life.
Sure.
And I don't necessarily mean making things, I mean craft as well,
Yeah.
Making things for your house or making do with stuff and making things that aren't necessarily even for an audience. It's just because you need a basket or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
I know, yeah.
There's lots and lots and lots and lots of people who don't make anything. I think that's like a loss, I don't think that's good.
Something really specific about my school that just was like blowing my mind is that California College of Arts, it was founded as the California College of Arts and Crafts at the turn of the 20th century. It was a direct descendant of the arts and crafts movement that started in the UK at the end of the 19th century. And it was a part of the American arts and crafts movement, which was a direct response to the Industrial Revolution. And it was, one, a way to preserve and advance craft as a form, and it was like, how do we, very humanistic, like acknowledging the world changing, but trying to wedge back in that connection so that hopefully it could coexist, which it did for the next 100 years. But the school being based in San Francisco, literally like 2026 is the pivotal year where how we're entering this year and how we're exiting this year in regards to AI the world is going to look, it already looks very different. What does outsourcing your basic mental faculties to like a chat GPT, what does that do to your quality of life?
That's a good,
and so
good
anyway,
question.
These are the things I think about in my chill interior world, thinking about having like a holistic sense of art and creativity, I guess, like not just being in a band or not just being an illustrator, but like having these practices that talk to one another in maybe not a super literal way, And I think like when you were talking about figuring out like taste or what floats your boat, like, yeah, I think it's a lot to do with recognizing yourself as a lens or a frame. And like, how like it became really trendy to take pictures of like random shit on the street, like John Wilson style, just like literally trash on the ground or like a crane at a weird angle and like do a photo dump.
Yeah.
I feel like the masses are now onto this concept of you're just like a little frame.
Yeah.
And I noticed this, Florence, so much in your lyricism. It is so exciting.
Thank you.
Do you know Ryan Davis? Ryan Davis in the Roadhouse Band?
No.
Fucking awesome.
I'm going to write that down.
I spoke with him last year, and he's a total head and a lifer. He's kind of having his musical moment in the sun in his like early 40s, and such a locked in, fascinating lyricist. And the way he put sort of everything we've been talking about, he was like, it's like the stuff that like lights a fire in my brain.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like it's a communication thing. I think if I found it easier to communicate in other ways, I'd do that. I feel like there's lots of reasons to make stuff, and that's my one. You know what I mean? It's if I could dance, or like if I felt like I could communicate really well by dancing, by moving or making up choreography or whatever, then I'd do that. But my thing is like drawing pictures, writing words. I feel like I get stuff out that's pretty much trapped in if I don't do that, which is an option. You can leave it trapped in there, but it feels bad. You wind up feeling really down, or you feel like I don't want to shuffle off the mortal coil without ever having communicated properly. And by properly, I mean accurately to what's really going on inside your head. And it's basically an effort to do that at least once or twice. Or, it's like you keep trying, keep like throwing stuff against the wall, like, oh, I want to express this mood or this kind of weird thought that I have, or this kind of fatalistic idea about something being funny and also sad and also disgusting. And this is the best way of saying it, like just trying to manage that over and over again, like having multiple goes at it. Just because if I don't do that, I just feel like a little pebble. I feel like, I don't feel connected to anything. I feel just really cut off, which, that is a way to live. You can live totally cut off and feel like no one ever hears your true voice or your true personality. You can live that way, but I would like to try not to. So for that reason, I like to write and I like to draw, and to a certain extent, performing also comes under that too. And that's my reason. But I feel like so many people make songs and drawings for all kinds of different reasons. But that's definitely my one. And now I'm like, did I just say that out of the blue? I hope that connected to what you said before.
Yeah, I was like, I was squirming in my seat because when you're like, it makes me feel like a pebble. I was like, it makes me feel like a clamshell without the clam inside. Like,
yeah,
like I'm just like a shell that should have something like slimy and alive in there, but it's just like,
yeah.
But you look at the thing and you're like, yeah, it's a clam, but it's not really a clam. It's just the shell.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also,
without a center.
Without a little center that's alive, and like it's gross, but that's the thing that makes it what it is. I really get amped up when, again, these little heady conversations about form and lyricism and what like working with a band and words can do, and how, hello, I've made a fucking podcast and like body of work about it, but like what an exciting way to write. Oh my God. And I think like something that I get really stoked on is like seeing writers and musicians sort of like strive for a really, really certain specificity. And by God, this comes up on the show all the time, and I struggle with the pronunciation of that word every time. But it's like...
It's a tough one. Specificity.
Fuck my life. Specificity.
But you've just got to open your mouth loads. And that's always the answer. Any word that's hard to say, is you just have to be like, specificity. Just like, go for it.
Specificity.
Pray for me in my career in speaking out loud. But I feel like that's the thing that makes lyrics so exciting, is that you could sort of like, if you really want to have a song mean something, you can by all means reverse engineer that meaning and create a narrative around it. But like to just like an evil idiot.
I don't want to be lectured. I like to burn my food up. Flames baptize the filth of plastic surfaces that has migrated onto my precious natural ingredients. I could never live with someone who didn't enjoy scorched and burnt foods as much as...
But the whole like burnt food, plastic, don't want to be lectured, like, yeah! Exactly. But it's like there's no exactly to be like exactly, but like it's so exactly, you know?
Oh, I'm glad you see it that way because, I just get a feeling like it's really important that the words to this song are like somebody proselytizing about something that is it's not crazy. It's almost could be a real thing. Like maybe burnt food's suddenly good for you or whatever. Or like, I don't know, it's got some health benefits or some bullshit.
RFK is like,
or whatever. Like,
you just gotta...
oh my God, I hate that
your
man.
oven on to 500 degrees.
I hate him.
Yeah, this is safe space.
Anyway, like that I like to just follow those impulses. It's nice to have a part of life where you can just have a very urgent feeling that you need to do something. Like if, when Tom's playing that guitar part, I can just think, okay, it needs to be this adamant person. It needs to be that they're sort of so into it that they have to live with someone who also eats burnt food or whatever. But also, then I'm also kind of quite worried about plastic, like eating those. I read this scary thing about black plastics, and for a day I was like really scared, and then after a while I was just like, oh fuck it. But like for a day I was terrified, and I was like throwing everything away in my house, and now I'm just like, oh, I don't care. But anyway, so felt like, okay, I need to bake that into it as well. It seems to work somehow. I don't know. This like stupid song that's like slightly evil sounding. And then this idea of things made out of black plastic and burnt things, and there being slightly a color theme.
Yes.
And then just being like, okay. And then, I don't know, like the way that I perform is a bit like a lecture. And then it was like, okay, well, I'm going to say I don't want to be lectured. And that's the song. Like I like, that's fun for me. Like it's nice when a listener gets something from it as well. And I'm sincerely trying to make something that people get something from. It's not just total self-indulgence. But at the same time, I'm following my nose in that way when I write. It's like, this is fun for me. I want to do this. And then I think if something's fun or exciting, it has meaning. It's not just fun or exciting by accident. You don't just want to connect all of these ideas for no fucking reason. But I don't always know the reason. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the reason isn't always in the front of my brain. I just trust that it's in the back of my brain somewhere. And that if I do it and do it kind of sincerely, following my interest, those things that spark the little fire, then other people will hear it as well. And it's just like a trust thing that way. And it doesn't always work. Sometimes people just go, what the hell?
A lot of people.
This is nonsense. But it's nice when some people go like, yeah, like this means something to me. Because I'm going, yeah, it means something to me as well for some reason.
It's so funny you said follow your nose, because I had written down previously, like I feel like that song, Evil, Evil Idiot, is like a song I can smell, which is like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like so cool to have like a multi-sensory experience to like,
that's interesting.
Like a post-punk song. Also interesting, you're talking about like front of brain and back of brain. Like, I feel like it's that, like interesting art maybe builds a bridge and or just sort of floats aimlessly between like those spaces, because it's like the front of your brain. I'm not talking neuroscientifically here. I'm talking just purely vibes wise.
No, who knows? I mean, knows? We don't know what's at the front and what's at the back. We don't know.
No. One's the mouth, one's the asshole. But like it's the distance between like data and information and meaning, right?
Yeah.
It's so much more interesting the more random detail can connect those two gulfs. And so I get really, really excited when I encounter songwriting and music like dry cleaning, where it really seems to kind of like labor in that space, you know?
Yeah. I always had this problem. I even remember having tutorials about it at art school. I used to draw a lot of things that were just floating in space.
Mm-hmm.
They would always be like, why don't you ever situate any of your drawings? And they were right to say it. I would just draw objects or heads or people, and I would never do a background, and it would just be like a floating thing, because I partly because I had no interest in drawing the background, and partly because I quite liked the space. I quite liked just drawing things in space, and I would always get challenged on it, and rightly so, because you shouldn't do things without a proper reason to do them. But I kind of worked on it, and sort of went the other way for a few years, like trying to broaden out my approach. But it does tend to be a bit of a theme for me. Like, I do like not giving enough information.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I'm really drawn to, when I'm making anything, to either give very little or take away so many things that it almost isn't functional anymore. Until, like sometimes if I have lyrics to a song or something, it will, like the original draft of the lyrics will be a little more on the nose, and then that will like annoy me. So sometimes I'll take things out until it's like, right, now it's kind of, now it doesn't have enough legs or whatever. And for some reason that appeals to me. And, maybe it's just, I'm just being a contrarian, annoying person, or, maybe it's, I slightly enjoy frustrating people. Also, there's just like a weird, for me, I always find like a sort of an elegance to things that aren't a complete set,
This, I feel like, ties into like one of the prevailing societal debates of our time, is like, what is the meaning of a frictionless existence, and why are we working towards it? It's like, are you not like, playing games with your perceived audience or whatever as you're refining your work, or are you creating more opportunities for like friction and like a generative confusion that like creates the space for someone like me to be like, oh, what's in these spaces between? Because that's, I think, like the ongoing conversation.
I always enjoy things like that. A lot of times listening to songs, I'll kind of zone in on like one or two lines of a song and basically invent a whole thing around it myself, what I think the song's about, like someone else's song.
Oh, dead ass.
There'll be some line, and you might even mishear what it is. And you'll be like, oh, it's blatantly about his mom or something. And then you'll just like go with that. Yeah. And then forever and ever you think it's about someone's mom.
This song's about a horse.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. When I was a child, I wanted to be a horse. Onions, carrots, and celery. Excuse me. Anyway, I do this where I'll create like an emotional world around a song that's my own. The song's written by someone else, but I'll create my own emotional world around a song, and I'll be imagining this person's life and everything around it. And sometimes the lyrics I'm zoning in on, I haven't even got them right or whatever, but I'll have like a massive attachment to the song. And then later you find out what it is, and it's like actually really disappointing and upsetting because it's kind of lived this whole life in your own mind. And so I always just think, well, that's great. Why not just give loads of opportunities for that to happen? Like, why not just give like a selection box of jumping off points for that?
Exactly.
In a way. Not that that's what I'm trying to do, but it's occurred to me kind of after the fact quite often.
It's your intuitive songs, like architecture.
Yeah, because the songs all mean something quite specific to me, but that's almost like that's the method, you know what I mean? And then once they're done, I don't feel like this massive importance to let people know necessarily. That's kind of just, that's how I make them.
Let's like, I mean, maybe I have a more interesting like story or example here, but it's like you have some interpersonal thing going on that you want to, or you feel driven to like exercise through the writing of this song. And like what comes out is like a lyric about a horse and carrots and onions.
Yeah.
That is like the image and the sort of like exorcism of the feeling that it like brings you to. So it's sort of like,
yeah,
there's something quite literal that you as a human being are experiencing. And the way that it goes into your brain and then back out of your brain is like a process of abstraction that allows it to continue to live on beyond the inciting incident, which will come and go.
Also, I feel like sometimes when you feel in a heightened emotional state, if you're really angry or really sad, those kind of thoughts are what comes to mind, especially if you speak out loud. So say you're like shouting at somebody, or if you're like sobbing a lot and speaking, the kinds of things you say are a bit odd. For example, like there's a bit in Hit My Head All Day, one of our songs called Hit My Head All Day, where I'm saying, like you say, when I was a child, I wanted to be a horse. That is a true thing. That was when I was really small. I had one of those confused child thoughts where I thought that was an option. You know, like I thought you could grow into an animal.
That's so sick.
And there's something about that is so, I feel that I've lost that level. Well, and I have lost that level of imagination and fantasy and also ambition in a way. And also to want to be a horse, something so kind of like wild and free and kind of beautiful. I kind of think like, fuck. When I was a child, I wanted to be a horse, for fuck's sake. Like, and now, you know, it's that kind of feeling. Like, it's almost like I would say that if I was like sobbing about the state of my life or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like, it sounds like, ooh, surreal lyrics, but in a way, it's just thoughts, you know, it's just the kind of thoughts that I think everyone has when they're slightly pushed.
Yeah, pushed.
You know, like these funny things bob to the surface, don't they, in your mind? Memories or things that pissed you off that had no outlet like 7 years ago or something. And then they just suddenly like come out in these weird times. Like, I think that's a really good well for writing, because it can be such a random generator of like spicy things, like slightly potent things that you can't really make up.
It's associative.
You just sit there and try. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's fun. That's a really fun way to write, because it's just like using all the like weird trash that's in your brain anyway, you know.
What's so interesting about you as a songwriter and then a performer is your vocal delivery style and sort of what it offers, this associative and a bit surreal, but discernible, you know, sort of writing. And I wonder, like, what's the interplay between your performance and your delivery and like the writing process?
I think the thing that links them is this impulse to want to sort of flatten everything out, you know, like get all these different ideas or thoughts or like little scraps and then kind of put them through like a machine that squishes them all to the same size. I think that is kind of what I like to do, and put them all on a plane, all lined up and the same volume. I guess I'm figuring out loud right now why it is I like to do that. I think it's because it's about a lot of it's about like an opportunity to feel some control over disparate things that are troubling or things that are heartbreaking or things that are painful. It's like chanting or something, or it's like a calm person. Because I'm not calm at all.
Okay, maybe I'm just projecting this image because you were talking about being a child and looking in the mirror and wanting to be a horse, but like there is something, when like a child comes to you and says truly the most surreal, like ethered from another planet statement, and they say it in the flattest tone possible.
Yeah.
There's like something of that energy when a kid is just like, yeah, like I just saw the bird and he told me that the orb is wide and it's open. Should we want to receive it? You're like,
yeah. Yeah. Well, they're not trying to sell it, are they? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're not trying to like sell you an idea. It's like a kind of play.
Mm-hmm.
It's not trying to get other people involved. It's not like, hey, come over here and I've got a crazy idea for you. It's not, do you know what I mean? It's not that.
It's proto manipulation.
It's like, right, yeah. I think I just get a kick out of performing that way. And I think it is part, it's a type of stubbornness, I think. But also like, it's nice to have lots of control because it's quite a narrow sort of domain that I have there, in the way that I do vocals. Like I'm not, it's like playing with a doll's house. It's like playing with something small where you're like, I'm in charge of all the things that are happening in this little room with a little bed, and I can turn the lights on and off or whatever. And it's small and I control it. Hopefully that makes some kind of sense how that relates to a spoken vocal that is quite consistent. I think it's a little bit of that impulse. I think a lot of it is to do with control, because I suppose the thing that maybe people don't know is that I am super emotional all the rest of the time, at the mercy of my emotions all the time. Very volatile. I cry like absolutely loads, like you wouldn't believe. Like, when people say, oh yeah, it was so hard, I cried. I'm like, yeah, like I cry. I cry all the time. I cry all the time. You know what I mean? But I've also got a bad temper. The emotions are going all over the place all the time. So that's in kind of stark contrast in a way to how I perform. But I think quite relevant somehow to why I might want to perform that way, like a kind of manifested thoughtfulness or calmness or slow, like measured. You know what I mean? Like an opportunity to be measured, an opportunity to say weird detritus from inside and it be measured.
My face. Nailed it.
Honestly, I'm really, really talking off the top of my head, so that might all just sound
we're ethering.
That does sound better. Ethering.
Yeah, we're ethering. Don't discount.
So, I might hear that back and be like, what the fuck?
No, you won't.
Anyway.
Trust me. So I'm really invested in, like, I think about like the oblique strategy cards and those being notions, I guess, of like how to access that associative state. And because you're such a prolific songwriter at this point, from this place that we've been sort of like shading and outlining, are there any practices or things you actually do to sort of put yourself in that place where all of this stuff can be accessed?
I mean, yes, actually. I find strategies really helpful in almost every kind of creative thing that I do. I don't do a whole wide range of things, but sometimes I'll write a subject at the top of a piece of paper and, something simple like I just make a rule that I have to fill the paper. And I start off writing about the subject, and it could be like Columbo, Do you know what I mean? Like, say if I just watch loads of episodes of Columbo or something.
Like the show, yeah.
It has to be a thing that I'm genuinely enthusiastic about at that moment. Can't be something that's a drag. It can't be like, oh God, I don't care. I don't want to write about that. I'm just really into Columbo at the moment. So I'm going to write, I want to write about that. You know, has to be an enthusiasm, and it doesn't matter what it is, because it's all about just like making yourself write something, even if you don't want to. Like, even if you're hungry, it's like spaghetti, meatballs, whatever. Like, just write that. So I write the thing at the top of the piece of paper, and they're just that the only rule is just to fill the paper. So it can drift off into other subjects. If you need help, you just go back to the thing at the top of the paper and write anything at all. So sometimes I'll do things like that. But like with drawing, I'll do things like I'll choose a size of paper and I'll just cut down a bunch of paper to that size and make a pile of paper. And it could be a rule like you just have to do one drawing every day. And if you're in a real rut, the paper could be tiny.
Yeah.
Postage stamp size if you want. Whatever is doable, and make it like a practice. Because I often get into periods of time where I'm like, I couldn't give a shit. I don't want to write anything. I don't want to draw anything. I hate it. I just want to sit on the sofa all the time. Like, or I want to stay in bed. I can get into that mode quite easily. So
yeah,
I like a little strategy, a little simple, doable thing that just gets the stuff out of you. And you always feel better afterwards.
You always feel better. I'm just constantly in such a long and enduring state of honestly shock at how easy it is to let all of this slip away. It's like so easy because no one cares if you do or don't, right? The funky little song about the horse and the onions.
That's also the beauty of it, though.
Yeah.
I find a lot of comfort in that. Like, nobody cares.
No one will know the difference if you didn't do it. But if you did, it's just so much better.
Yeah, somehow I find I do find that comforting, the thing of like, oh, whatever, like, I'm just a little pea and writing a little song. Like, nobody cares. That I just find that really like, all right then. Fine, I'll do it.
I was interested to read too from the mouth of one Cate who produced your last record.
Yeah.
She was talking about, I forget where I read this in the interview. I'm so sorry to the person who wrote this article. But in an interview, Cate was talking about witnessing your writing process and that you were very like private and maybe probably not on purpose, but like seemed like a little like cagey, like I'm going to go to my corner, don't look at me.
Yeah, that's definitely me.
I'm sure you chose working with Cate for like an obvious overlap of sensibilities, I think, like musical sensibilities and creative sensibilities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Upset and out of touch. Good grief, you miss so much. Oh, remember me louder than empty rooms. Face down in heirlooms. Oh.
What were you like beyond just like, oh, she's not just a wonderful creator of her own music, but she's produced a lot of really cool albums, and like you can tell when it's a Cate joint.
Yeah.
And it really feels like I mean this in a really wonderful way, but it feels like such an obvious marriage, like the Cate and dry cleaning sounds sort of interacting with one another. Like, what were you hoping to see of like her work and her style integrate into your music when you brought her on board?
For me, as I thought of her as a musician, primarily somebody who knew about vocals and who understands about this sort of weird battle that you have with your own privacy doing something like that. And also, she definitely prioritizes having a good time, which is a really great feature, because she said right from the start that she thought our experience doing it was as important as the actual outcome
Mm-hmm.
to the actual record, which isn't the norm. You know, that's quite an unusual thing to say straight off the bat. Like, it needs to be not a bad time, and you need to feel good, and you need to feel like you tried everything you wanted to try, and because that's hard to do that at the same time as make something good. But she cared about that, and that's from her own experience. It's just the fact that she's made a ton of records of her own music. She's produced records. She understands it from every angle. She's a really intriguing performer too.
Mm-hmm.
She's just a totally magnetic person, and someone where if there's even a chance of making something collaboratively with her, it was like, yeah. However, that's possible. Let's try to make that happen. That's how I felt. She's just a joy to work with. I feel sad not to, it's such an intense time. It's like 3 weeks of like we're all living together basically, and recording together and eating together every night and watching TV together and making our breakfast in the morning together and going swimming together and all this kind of stuff for 3 solid weeks, then you just part, and it's like musicians' lives. It's really hard to cross paths again. If you think about it too much, it's sad.
It's so fucking sad.
She's such a good friend. She's definitely my friend. I don't have billions of friends. Hopefully that's a reason. That makes sense as a reason. It's not a very technical reason. It's more of a vibe reason.
Yeah. It's also just very, very on par with sort of everything we've talked about like process and creativity and just like working with others. So you guys are very like, we're from South London, coded.
Mm-hmm.
I could have just said, you're from South London, but you're also we're from South London, coded. And I'm curious about like your relationship to where you're from, like culturally and musically, and sort of where you feel like you sit in this specific part of culture or subculture. And
it's a hard question. I've lived in South London my whole life. I was born down the road from where I live. So it's obviously a huge part of who I am. Schools I went to and stuff, and everyone I've met, and my friends who are from here, and it's probably had such an impact. It's quite hard for me to see it because I am a homebody, and I didn't travel that much until I was in dry cleaning. I wasn't like just went on like a couple of holidays or whatever. But, I wasn't like, it wasn't something I prioritized spending money on at all. It's obviously had like a huge impact. But to say what the impact actually is quite hard. The buses. I'm a big bus person. I travel on the bus everywhere and always have done. And I have lots of ideas on the bus.
That's what I was just going to say. That's the idea generating machine.
Yeah, like I do write a lot on the bus, actually, which sounds strange, but it is. If I try and detect if there's a pattern about when I have more ideas or when I feel more relaxed to write, it's probably just on long bus journeys, because to get from here to like central London is about an hour on the bus.
Oh, wow.
But I really love that. And often I feel a bit disappointed when it's time to get off the bus, like I'm kind of like, oh, I'm just here now. I feel very, like happy to sit on a long London bus journey. One of my happy places probably, actually. And so it sounds bonkers, isn't it, to say the buses, but
no, it doesn't.
There's no tube. I mean, maybe it's also kind of specific to South London because there's not really a tube in South London. That's more of like a central and North London thing. So you do have to get the bus or the overground train, but those are weird and it's just way easier to get the bus. I remember like when I was a kid, it was like 40p or something and it's loads now. that's a lifelong sort of thing that maybe is quite specific to South London in a way. It's weird, South London. It's like there's some unbelievably posh bits right next to much more normal bits. And it's kind of, it is a weird bundle of different stuff. There's like massive, massive houses next to blocks of flats, and it's really jumbled up. And that's a bit of a strange feature. It probably has had a big impact, but yeah, very difficult to say what it actually is. And then in terms of like the South London scene, again, it's this funny thing. We're a bit older. So like when you think about a venue that's really associated with the South London thing is like the Windmill, which is a venue in Brixton. And like Black Midi played there loads. And
among the saints, go get them, son, now your life begins. To die for your country does not win a war. To kill for your country is what wins a war.
Lots of bands played there loads, but we never played there. I think we're even like a different generation to those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And like I remember I used to go to the Windmill, but like years ago, I don't remember there being like a scene necessarily. It was just like this funny venue in Brixton that had a dog on the roof. And I went there a few times, like a boyfriend of mine at the time was like doing a gig, and he used to do this like whole kind of troubadour kind of vibe. But like, this is like, oh my God, when would that even have been? Pre-2010, you know what I mean? Like a long time ago now. And so it's funny. It's like, whilst we're in the same geographical location, we're sort of in a different worlds.
Sure.
Because we're just like different. It might even just be down to the fact we're different ages. It's funny. Like you know who we do see around a lot is Bar Italia.
I'm shaking hands with all the thoughts I killed last week.
Bump into them a lot. But yeah, it's funny. It's like everyone's existing in their little channels.
Yeah.
But all seemingly in the same place. It's weird.
Funny. Like when I was younger, I feel like scene as a concept was so much more geographical. And now I feel like it's much more like, yeah, I guess like age or something.
London's a funny one. I feel like a lot of venues have closed, and there's really not that many places to hang out. There are, and often they're like community run or just run by, you know, friends or people who've got the gumption to do it. And, you know, people put on nights and stuff, but it's not a wide open scene.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's not many people talk about third space or whatever. Loitering. Where are we loitering these days?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. But also, I don't want to be like, oh, there's nowhere to go in London, because there's bloody loads of places to go. But yeah, I mean, I'm a weird introvert, and also we're old. No, I mean, we're not old, because I fucking hate when people are like, I'm so old. It's like, no, you're not. My mum would be like,
she'd be like,
off.
literally, shut up.
You're not old.
Don't disgrace me.
Yeah.
Speaking of old and yet knowing, South London is where it's at. I was just watching that little clip of Sir Elton John talking with you guys.
Oh my God. Elton.
One must have been mind-blowing too. He was like, South London.
So thrilled for you guys. It's lovely to see a band flourishing. It's lovely to see a British band flourishing from South London.
Thank you.
There's so much talent in south of London at the moment. It's ridiculous. Every time we put the Rocket Hour together, we get the British artists, and they're all from South London, most of them.
So he knows.
He knows. Can I give a recommendation?
Mm-hmm.
One of the best music documentaries ever is about Elton. Do you know this film, Tantrums and Tiaras?
I actually don't.
It's filmed by David Furnish, his husband, on like a camcorder, I think in like 95 to 97 or something like that. Just following him around and asking him questions and kind of bothering him when he's upset, and filming him in his little trailer at the Oscars and stuff when he was singing when he got an Oscar for The Lion King or whatever, and like just following him around and seeing his wardrobe that he takes to the south of France. And it's really good. It's on YouTube.
After a quick break, I'll be back with Florence of Dry Cleaning. Here's the song Conservative Hell off of the 2022 album Stumpwork.
Good wedding, bad wedding, a coil pot problem, a constant mover. They're trying to mythologize everything. She cleans gutters, cleaning out the sink pipe. A buster and a lover, she loves things. She loves stuff, some true laws. The story I am making up. Am I part of the meal deal? A recommended girl. Conservative hell. Conservative hell. Conservative hell.
Okay, Florence Shaw of Dry Cleaning. Is there anything that you would like to get off of your chest?
There is. And, I'm going to say something serious because this is not news to anyone, but I feel like to remind anyone listening of it is a good idea. I do want to say that the genocide in Palestine is still happening. I feel like the news cycle has hugely moved on, as it always does. And so many unbelievably nightmarish things seem to be unfurling in every corner of the globe at the moment. It's very distressing. I feel like the Israeli attacks on the Lebanon are on my mind. I have some friends in the Lebanon, and for that reason, it's on my mind. And obviously, everything that's happening in Iran, and just, the list goes on and on and on. But even just to say that one small thing of that situation is not over. And I feel like it's in a lot of people's vested interest for us all to think that it's over, but it's so far from it. And also the information that's emerging as so many people knew that it would, that the actual death toll from that situation is so much higher than was officially reported. That's all being revealed now. It can be really hard to pay attention to the news because it's very disturbing. But at the same time, I feel like we all just need to help each other have a good understanding and awareness, and to just keep it in our conversations. Sounds so small, but that's my impulse right now when it comes to getting something off my chest. That's my impulse, I guess.
My more refined point is to remember when you feel so overwhelmed about the news cycle moving on from one horrible atrocity to the other, to the other, to the other, the way that that's presented to you as a consumer or a citizen is to think of these as totally disparate events. But they're all quite connected to one another. Though it feels like whiplash, where you feel like your attention is being pulled to another abuse of power atrocity in a different GPS coordinate on the other side of the fucking planet. They're all so connected to one another.
Indeed.
I think sometimes there's like a little bit of a guilt of like, oh my God, we were talking about this horrible thing last week and now we're talking about this new thing. And it's so overwhelming that my response is to like shut it out. But I think like something that doesn't make it easier to comprehend, but does make it easier to resist the urge to tune it out due to overwhelm and overstimulation is to like not forget or to frame in your mind the relation between all these things that are really disturbing and happening, because they're just all connected.
I think that's very well said and very true. I've never quite thought about it exactly that way, but yeah, that idea that the separateness of the way that they're all reported, it's quite sort of malevolent, isn't it? Like kind of presenting all these different little bundles of kind of awful news as though they're sort of natural disasters or like
Absolutely.
things that just happen and not at all linked. It's kind of outrageous, really.
Absolutely.
That seems sort of dreadful, but I do find some weird comfort is absolutely the wrong word, but
Grounding or something.
yeah, because I think a lot of effort's put into pushing things as new and scary.
Mm-hmm.
And whilst there are new and scary things, they're kind of not new.
For sure.
It's the same kind of impetus from the same people at the same sort of levels of society. So
I just think clarity is our greatest resource right now because we're in an age of chaos, and it's so annoying to use this word in terms of like geopolitics, but it's just like their strategy is to gaslight us and overwhelm us. So whatever, I feel like whatever you can do to develop strategies for enduring and long-term clarity, whatever that means for you, is like one of the better things of work you can be doing.
yeah, I do agree.
In any case, what a joy to get to talk with you, Florence.
Well, thanks. Yeah, that was very enjoyable. What was it? Agreeable and
Discordant and agreeable?
No, it wasn't discordant. It was very agreeable.
It was agreeable, harmonious, strange, an adventure. I have two catchphrases. One is life is a crazy mystery. I would also say that this interview is a crazy mystery. Thank you for listening to Music Person. I'm really stoked to be back for season 2. I'm your host, Dylan Tupper Rupert. My editor and producer is Max at Lub Dub Studios. My theme song is by Nicole Lawrence and Ben Allman. You can find Music Person anywhere you get your podcasts. Please rate the show and subscribe to the Music Person Quarterly on Substack.